I'm Karissa Vacker, and welcome back to Sleep Wave, a podcast where we let waves of relaxation wash over you through original sleep meditations and hypnosis, created to help you fall asleep tonight. We're growing, and it would be great to introduce even more ripples to our wave. So to help us reach our next 1,000 listeners, would you be able to take a second to leave a short review of Sleep Wave on your podcast app? It would mean the world. We read every review, and it will help us climb the charts, reaching more people that may need a little help with their sleep right now. When I was in college, I began to practice yoga. The teacher was literally teaching out of a magazine in the class I took at the university gym, but still, I loved it. My whole life long, I have been clumsy, to put it mildly. I somehow missed the chapter in childhood where kids learned to cartwheel and take dance classes and play sports. I was probably too busy reading books. It felt like my head and my body were completely separate. I even had trouble telling right from left half the time. I was sure I was destined to be poorly coordinated and awkward forever. But then I began doing yoga and something changed. There was something about breathing deeply and slowly, not needing to compete or perform like you do in sports or dance, that allowed me to connect to my body like I never had before. As I graduated and went out into the world, I started to do yoga at some great studios, and my mind was blown open. I showed up because I wanted to feel better and be more confident in my body, which definitely happened, but it was the mental and emotional benefits that kept me coming back. I am a driven person who struggles with knowing when to stop, but the practice of yoga and meditation helped me be still and quiet and feel like everything else in my life could wait, even if it was just for the duration of the class. Though this has been a practice of mine for years, I still really struggle with being content. I easily fall prey to the idea that there is always more to get and more to do. That feels doubly true now that I have a small child and a full work schedule. But I am thankful I have years of practicing contentment under my belt because I know what a truly wise practice it is. I always think it's funny whenever I mention to someone that I do yoga and they say, "Oh, I could never do yoga. I can't even touch my toes." Well, I couldn't either before I started. Contentment is very much like touching your toes. You've got to practice it consistently for it to happen consistently, which is what we're doing now. When I let myself do this, suddenly everything seems like enough. I don't feel the same lack and worry that I'm prone to. Fully accepting the moment, even if there are things you'd like to change, is empowering. Sleep may be a challenge tonight, but simply being content that you are lying in your bed, safe, warm, and quiet is something to appreciate and be present with. We're going to breathe and meditate together as we go on a visualization journey to India and find contentment for a restorative sleep by Billy Gill. India is ancient. The vastness of the land itself is only exceeded by the cultures of the people who have lived there through the millennia. Its history is a rich fabric of art, science, music, cuisine, literature, wisdom, and humanity. One of the greatest gifts India has generously offered to the world is the gift of yoga. Yoga is more than physical postures. It's a broad system for realizing one's own intrinsic possibilities. It encompasses every dimension of human life: physical, mental, ethical, and spiritual. One of the limbs on the tree of yoga is known as the niyamas. These are personal practices that function as guidelines for how you should treat yourself to best support the quest of realizing your full potential. There are other limbs on the tree, which have more to do with how a yogi should behave toward others, but the niyamas are really more about how you are when no one else is looking. One of these guidelines is called santosha, which translates well as the practice of complete contentment. It's something that can be practiced anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. Of course, it's easier to practice contentment under some circumstances than others, but the idea is that by practicing contentment, one can develop their own capacity for it. Contentment isn't the same thing as happiness, though perhaps they are related. Happiness happens. Perhaps you are happy now, or perhaps it so happens that you are not. There is an element of chance to happiness because it is tied to external things. Contentment, however, comes from within and is a voluntary intention. It's as though, of your own free will, you have decided that in this moment, you will not try to change anything about your experience. This takes tremendous discipline, which, not accidentally, is the next guideline in the niyamas. Tonight's sleep meditation will guide you through an exploration of India, through its landscape, its culture, as well as its ancient wisdom, in order to bring about inner peace and contentment for a profoundly restorative sleep. In India, there is a palpable sense of contentment. It's not that no one there is ever perturbed, but amidst the throngs in the cities of India, there is a noticeable steadiness and relaxation through the apparent chaos and struggle. The natural beauty of India's mountains, rivers, beaches, and jungles is matched only by the grace of the human beings who walk among them. Allow yourself to become calm and steady. Adjust your pillow and blankets until you are comfortable. Give yourself plenty of time for this. At any time, if you need to move or change positions, please feel free, but make sure that you are moving consciously. Sometimes we don't even realize that we are moving because the movements are unconscious. Once you have found a comfortable stillness, try to be still. Take a deep breath and release any tension or worry. Release the cares of the day. Right now, in this moment, you are going to meditate. This is worthwhile in itself. Say to yourself silently in your mind, I will now begin this sleep meditation. For the duration of this meditation, I will remain very still. Again, if you have to move, just make sure they are conscious movements. No unconscious movements. Practice contentment here and now. For no reason in particular, allow your circumstances to be as they are. Since this is a practice, you will gradually become very skilled at being content. It may take some time, but if you continue to practice, you will certainly achieve greater contentment in your life. We begin in the foothills of the Himalayas at sunrise. The fresh water of the Ganges River flows briskly from the snow-capped mountains as it begins its course to the Indian Ocean. A mist hovers above the waters. Devotees have already begun their morning prayers. The energy of the river is is said to be particularly special at this hour as night transforms into day. The sun is a symbol for the waking state, and the moon is a symbol for the dreaming state. Where the two meet is a unique and visionary transition. The ancient seers, called rishis, would enter into trance-like meditation, not quite awake and not quite asleep, to receive the deep secrets of the universe and transcribe them for the benefit of all humanity. Thousands of years ago, these wise people sat right here on these very banks and would have seen much the same view that now presents itself to you in the magic light of dawn. Using only your imagination and the power of your intention, allow your next inhale to enter through your left nostril. There will be a natural pause at the top of your inhale. Be aware of this pause and then allow the exhale to leave through your right nostril. Again, there is a brief pause at the bottom of your exhale. Never strain, but allow that pause to last as long as it needs to before you feel the impulse for the next inhale. Then allow that inhale to replace itself and enter through your right nostril this time. Notice the pause at the top of the inhale. Then exhale through the left nostril. Inhale through both nostrils, pausing briefly as the inhale turns into an exhale through both nostrils. This completes one cycle of alternate nostril breathing. Don't worry if you are not sure whether your breathing is only flowing through one nostril at a time. The intention is what's important. The whole left and right side of your body will respond to your intention. Again, allow the next inhale to enter through the left nostril, stimulating the left side of the body. Notice the natural transition, and then exhale through the right nostril. The whole right side of the body will relax as you exhale. Good. The next inhale will stimulate the right side. In yoga, the sensations in the right nostril stimulate the solar side of the body. Notice the pause. Exhale through the left side, which stimulates the lunar side of the body. These energies are imagined as little rivers that flow within you and correspond to certain sensations in the body, as well as certain states of mind. Breathe in through both nostrils and breathe out through both nostrils, letting your belly rise and fall. You have completed another cycle. Continue. Inhale through the left nostril. 1. Mentally transition in the pause and exhale through the right nostril. 2. Pause. Inhale through the right nostril. 3. Natural pause. Exhale through the left nostril. 4. Notice the emptiness at the bottom of the breath. Yield to the need for a new breath, which enters through both nostrils. 5. Exhale through both nostrils. 6. Continue through 1 or 2 more cycles of alternate nostril breathing. 1 through 6. You know the cycle well by now. You are balancing wakefulness and sleep, sun and moon in the body and mind. Go on. The dew of night is still on the ground. You wade waist deep into the river and behold the rising sun. The people of India call the river Ma Ganga, Mother Ganges, because she nourishes the soil with her nutrient-rich sediment and makes the land so fertile that life flourishes wherever she flows. The sun is called Surya and represents the power of seeing. It is by the light of the sun that we see. A nearby devotee holds out 2 hands in a gesture of offering toward the sun, while water slowly pours through his fingers. It's an outward ritual with inner meaning. He is offering that which nourishes him back into its own source. After this is done with deep devotion, then the work of the day begins, and work itself becomes an act of devotion. flock of larks ascend from the treetops, and you are transported to a forest. The quiet solitude of the forest creates a hushed reverence. The trees reverberate the silence. Up ahead along the path, you see a hut with a fire burning in front. These huts are the ashrams of the forest monks who have taken a vow of silence and retreat from the world. Deer graze on the darba grass, which grows abundantly amidst the flowers and luscious mangoes and curry leaves. They provide ample sustenance for the forest dwellers, called munis, a kind of saint in India. These saints are simple and yet completely content. You see a muni seated by the fire. Your eyes meet his, and for a moment, there is recognition in them. He looks at you with total compassion and understanding. It's a deep honoring of your shared being, and you carry that glance as a reminder. You continue on your path and discover a stream gushing past your feet. The water playfully trickles over and around the rocks and stones, inviting you to play along. Content to follow this new path that stretches out before you, you make your way downstream, taking in the forest all around. Flowers erupt along the path in golden and purple flashes of color, curling tendrils and stamens thrust onto the trail. The forest is alive and seems to vibrate with the syllable Om. It's evening now. You come to a clearing in the dense forest, and the little streamlet has led you to a small lake. Lotus blossoms float on the lake. They burst like magenta stars out of the midnight blue water above their broad green floating leaves. The fragrance of the flowers scents the air, because the stem of the lotus rises out of the mud and blossoms so beautifully above the water. The lotus flower is a symbol for enlightenment. Even out of the mud at the bottom of a lake, one can realize the sacred beauty of each moment. The mud symbolizes the sorrows of life, but the lotus flower shines like a beacon to remind the world that out of those sorrows, it is possible to grow and bloom into joy. The mud of your own day-to-day struggles is the ground from which contentment grows. Your mind is as still as this lake. A breeze blows across the water and causes the surface of the lake to ripple. But below the surface, the lake remains still. In the same way, as you move through the forest, the deepest layers of your mind are still and serene. You see a temple beyond the lake with white pillars overgrown with ivy. You move toward the temple and see a light within. In the twilight, you make your way toward the temple and go inside. Within the temple is a huge courtyard, and in the center of the courtyard is a banyan tree with innumerable limbs spreading out in every direction. Go and sit beside it. In India, this tree is known as the wish-fulfilling tree. It's said that the fragrance of this tree is so divine that smelling it gives one the power to have one's wishes come true. You lie down beneath the tree in a soft bed of wildflowers, and the intoxicating scent surrounds you. It's like jasmine with wild, dark honey and a hint of vanilla. The tree is imparting the secret wisdom that fulfills all wishes. When you want what you have, you will have what you want. Rest now beneath this tree. Here, in this moment, you are content, peaceful, sure, steady, calm, blissful dreams descend from above. Sleep showers down from the stars peering through the limbs of the banyan tree. The soft, slow